I'm not the BD team up here selling to you all. I want to talk. I want to talk about the voice pioneering epic work that you all are doing. So let's frame it in, where was the car 100 years ago? And what Vitaly said that stuck with me was like, it's a summit, it's an exchange of ideas and learnings, and of course you'll find out a lot about Houndify in this presentation. But I like that whole theme, and in the end we'll talk wide open ideas. 1919 was a watershed year for Ford in that the technology development of that year, the electric starter. Woo! This decade was phenomenal for Ford writ large. Assembly line came in, production got up to 500,000 units, price point was getting to a place where the car was going to be a thing for sure. Ford was named, as a company, the car of the century. Where are we now at 2019? What is the car in 2019? And I think this video, which was the Super Bowl commercial of Mercedes, does it justice. So they're going to get this full screen. A little louder. A little louder. Here we go. The voice in your head.
Find the cat. Make it rain. Change the music. When I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Lassie, get help. Use the rocket.
If only everything in life listened to you like your new A-Class.
Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help you?
Change color. Make it cooler. Play my music. When I
The A-Class, starting at $32,500.
Awesome.
Q logo.
Yeah. But the creative team behind this, complete genius. They are so far out ahead of what's transforming within our entire human computing interaction modality as humans. There's a creation of practically a third or fourth voice in our brains now. This dude is walking down the street, right? Make it rain. Find the cat. Right? Something is going to start happening because the technology is flourishing writ large, meaning voice AI, it's here. Right? And I loved how Nico gave us that slide in the morning of just showing the rocket ship of the adoption of a technology at its pace says it is coming down the pike. And why is auto in it to lead and actually leapfrog us forward? It's an experience like this where you sit into a car and you can say, navigate me to the nearest coffee shop except Starbucks, right? Let's jam on some demos. I don't even know where we're on the slides. So if I say that into Hound, this is our voice app. Our voice app is powered by the Houndify platform. Navigate me to the nearest coffee shop except for Starbucks. Great.
Navigating to Pete's Coffee located at 405 Howard in San
Exclusion
Francisco.
is a pretty cool thing, right? If I go in and say, show me Italian restaurants within 2 miles that are open right now, have outdoor seating, and are kid-friendly.
Here are several Italian restaurants within 2 miles that are open now that have outdoor seating and are kid-friendly.
Okay, Hound. Only show those that are open right now and have parking.
Okay, here are several Italian restaurants that are open now that have free parking.
I'm showing you, I'm refining that query further, going further in. Okay, Hound. How much does it cost in an Uber Black to go to the first one?
An Uber Black can take you from here to Mona Lisa restaurant located at 353 Columbus Avenue in San Francisco for about $22 to $28.
Do you see what I just went from a search, I could be compound and complex in that search, and then I can carry on to hitting an entirely different domain, which is the Uber domain live, right? Those experiences, once you do one, you're not going to go back to filtering and trying to find like a restaurant and taking 30 minutes to do it. You're going to get really picky, and you're going to expect a follow-on action to be able to be taken. Okay, we'll move forward on the slides. Okay, academic slide. Let's talk about the industry landscape. Let's frame it. The entire day has been so valuable. Each presenter and each expert in their field presented components of this, but I think it's important to summarize to some degree what is the situation within voice writ large. there's a high barrier to entry. And why is it? It's because enabling platforms need to provide all of the technology. Really, the powerful one will have all of the technology as a suite so that you, a company, don't have to go hobble and cobble it together, okay? And it takes years to build this stuff. So I think we got spoiled with mobile in that these phenomenal SDKs got offered to us, and then the geniuses quickly within your company were able to take the tools of an accelerometer or the GPU, graphical design, and launch things with your own brand, distribute directly to your end customers, and the rise of the mobile app era came to us, right? But with voice, it's different in that the ASR, right, automatic speech recognition, the NLU, they're discrete technologies that are bloody hard to do all by yourself, let alone build up over years engines that work at scale. Knowledge domains, having all the sets of data, meaning weather data, local search data, time, unit conversion, all that stuff, that in and of itself is also a massive project, if you will. But it needs to be there ready for the developer to latch into, because what are you going to do? You're going to go run off and do major BD deals with Expedia and Yelp and Uber. You could do, but it certainly is going to take a lot of resource and time for you to do that. All right, developer tools, that's critical to the ecosystem. But let's get into what technology wins. We think the better technology in this play is going to win. Why? Because once you do something and have a user experience that's really superior, anything else is going to feel laborious, rusty, clunky, right? So speed, accuracy, being able to understand the complex compound query sets, that's complex domain sets, and then being able to have those domains understand through each other. Here's our position as a company. We think that having an independent platform out there in the ecosystem is really, really valuable because it enables everyone who wants to continue to own their customer and not get disintermediated to stand on our shoulders. You won't need to take the 10 years to build it. We've done it, and you're off to the races. You know, a few years ago, Keyvan, our CEO, founder, incredibly visionary, right? He set this company up 14 years ago knowing it's going to take a long time, but in my lifetime, I'll dedicate to make sure that we can have our Star Trek moment, that we're going to be able to interface, but do it in a way that is conversational. Like right now, we're engaging. Like I'm looking at your eyes, you're following the context of this conversation, and he understood the technologies, having them come together, were going to take a long time to build. And recently, when a few years ago, he would say, it's going to take companies 3 years to figure out, it takes 10 years to build this stuff. Right? And when he said it a couple years ago, I was like, oh, that sounds very profound or something. I don't truly actually get it. And oh my goodness, now I really get it. Because the companies that we pitched to, let's say 3 years ago, right? Houndify came out in 2015. We pulled back the curtains after 10 years of stealth and said, check this out, it's pretty amazing. You know, a lot of companies are like, oh, well, who are you, little startup? We'll go home. We're engineering founding team anyway. We'll go home and we'll build it ourselves. You know, and we'd say, okay. Fast forward these couple years now, and we find many companies coming back to us. A, the ship is sailing. B, they tried and they failed, but it took them that time, and they now really understand the value proposition at hand with Houndify. So auto specifically, right? Auto is, it's so there. You guys are doing amazing stuff, in part because historically, you've already been primed for it, right? It was 2005, where Nuance was the first in this marketplace, bringing voice into the car. So there's a primed expectation. Could there be voice there already? So you're well established. There's also a long lead cycle mentality of sorts, and the familiarity of working with third-party vendors is not scary. It's the norm for the OEMs themselves, as well as the tier ones. So the experience today is where we're jamming, though, with auto. This is where the auto industry is at a pivotal moment. In 2019, I think you all are going to leapfrog what we've seen in other environments. The enablers are in place, connected car is coming, the car is now getting transformed into what's the essence of the experience. And you, car designer, and research development teams within those organizations, do you want to offload a good percentage of the mind share of the user as they sit into that seat and call it something that's not your brand or not your decision or not your auditorial experience? I think that's potentially a half step, although I really like the takeaway from Rashmi's point that why can't more of the different preferred voice assistants be enabled through a platform, putting a little more choice to the end user. Safety, it's obvious. Tip of spear, hands on the wheel, voice as an interface, it's an entree that way. A couple slides here, really great work from our content team. We've got Trips in the audience who led this effort. So here's some more data points, repeating some of what we would have seen already, but you understand that 53% of people are already using voice assistants in car. Okay, the increased share of voice-enabled card up to 55%, right? It's getting there. Now, how are the drivers using the voice assistant today? These stats came out earlier today, it's just a different form, but you understand here that the bar set for the experience, when you say, call John Grossman, sure that works, but if you say, call Majida Mommy really fast, it better work. Majida Mommy is one of our co-founders, and when Kayvon gave me the demo in 2009, right, I was like, what's this company? It's like Shazam. I'd been 6 years building up Shazam. We're going into voice. Here, let me show you this. It was called Madomi Dialer, this little app in 2009, and he showed me, call John Grossman, and it worked. And then he said, call Majida Mommy. I couldn't even understand. I didn't even hear the enunciated words. He spoke it so quickly. Call Majid Amami. And the thing just went quickly, popped up the name, was ready to call, and I thought, my gosh, if these, at the time, 19 or so engineers here in San Jose can pull this off, this is a phenomenal scenario. This company could be the company of consequence in voice. Key features for a voice AI platform in auto, right? So this is a valuable diagram, I think, for everybody. What goes into it? I think there might be some engineers here that could probably find one or two parts that we might be missing. But let's break it apart, right? The customized wake word or user experience. And I loved, is it Adam, that from Nuance in the deep thinking, looking at research, hey, should there be a place where there's not even a prompt? Or should the system ultimately know you're just speaking to it, right? So how's the entry point of the experience? The conversational state, the natural human-like dialogue. Again, this is the overall theme. How do we build a technology that just disappears into the back and does not raise a generation, and where you need to toggle your brain and think about how do you structure what you say in order to say it? Yeah, no more. Like, that's really, I think, destructive for our neurological development, right? We spent a decade learning how to search like this, which is already unnatural. And that training on what to search for this way was entity detection based. What we're doing here is enabling us to have a conversation where you're not thinking through how you need to formulate those words. You just say it. And so many other speakers have touched on, there are many ways to say a certain thing, okay? So what defines the voice AI platform? Complete. Let's drill in here. What makes the demo on the Hound app, which is powered by Houndify, so fast and delightful? So one of our secret sauces is called speech to meaning. Okay? A traditional approach is going to take ASR and little animation. Maybe it's going to not work. It's okay. In the top box, it's meant to show you a two-step process. I speak, the words are transcribed. That's text. That text output dumps into an engine that's natural language process understanding. Right? And nobody in the industry would have said, wouldn't it be cool if those two things happened real time simultaneously, such that ASR and NLU are happening at speed and actually further propagating higher probabilities of success and accuracy? And our team did it. Our team was able to have this major milestone of a breakthrough technologically. That speech to meaning is one of the breakthroughs that really underpins why the Houndify platform isn't just a step change different, it's really profoundly different. And then we have an ability to do compound complex queries, right? So I hammered on that, and I can jam more, but I think you get it, right? The ability to say what you want and get it. I really am pushing this concept that once you say a compound complex query, you just don't go back, right? Ari Levy, one of the great journalists in the city, tweeted on Saturday, it was probably right before one of the Final Four games. He's like, oh my gosh, when I was 34, I would see somebody with a kid in a bar and think, oh, and now at 44, I see, like, what bar can I go to that's kid-friendly? And of course, my brain was like, oh, delightful. That is a compound complex query, right? So show me bars within 2 miles that are open right now, have outdoor seating, and are kid-friendly. Boom, and then further refine. It's just, you'll never, a little bit like that Mercedes commercial. Like you'll walk through your world, and you'll suddenly be thinking, hey, I can interface with the computing data around me in a way that's so harnessable. What automakers want from the voice AI platform world, this is what our perspective. We think and we pretty much know they want to own their user experience, really starting with the tip of spear. Let's call it, hey Honda, hey Mercedes. So understanding complex compound queries, this is where it's a step change better than anything that you've experienced on a mobile device or in other situations. The hybrid solution, we'll talk a little bit about that. Simultaneous ASR and NLU, that's our speech to meaning. Own the control of the user and the user data, right? This is really important, right? SoundHound Inc. doesn't disintermediate you from this. This is for you. This is what's going to give you insights, understanding how do you create the next generation and improve and improve and improve, right? Integration, we call it easy. Like, no integration is easy, but I think what we mean there is out of the box, you already have access to over 150 domain sets. And as our platform, it's architected so smart that as our platform expands with new data sets that become extensible, that's a choice of you, the developer. Tick. Recipe domain goes live. You can be driving home and say, I've got a carrot and a potato and milk in the fridge. What can I make? Right? This stuff is going to come down the pike, and it's fantastic that we've architected to future-proof and scale like that. So I'm really proud of the smarts behind our team to have had that foresight. History of proving blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this graphic just nicely illustrates how many sets of domains, and they're more than this. And we even have happy little SoundHound. Can you see the SoundHound? Anyone spot music recognition? Okay, so we have lots of data sets, right? So you can say how many miles are in 524 kilometers, and what's the population of Japan and China, and what's the area code of India, who's the president of France, and how far is Paris to the capital of Belgium. That's all unlocked by here. I got excited because music recognition, you actually really have to come talk to us before we'd license that one out to you. The music recognition, from our SoundHound music app, captures sound from the air. If there's recorded song, we'll tell you what it is. Let's hear what some of our partners have said. So Mercedes, right? Speech to meaning and deep meaning understanding, cloud-based technologies provide unprecedented speed and accuracy in the vehicle's speech recognition and responses. Another strength is its ability to understand complex sentences as well as context and provide natural interactions. Honda, partnering, voice-enabled AI and conversational interfaces represent the next major focus in human-computer interaction that will impact every business in the years to come. Hyundai, integrating such a natural conversational voice interface to our vehicles allows the driving experience to become even more intuitive. Okay. Automotive brands can now make cars safer and smarter. The PSA Group, we're thrilled to be partnered with such an amazing collection of car brands. Every time you're in Europe, you see, oh my gosh, that Opel is amazing. Citroen, how do I ever get one of those? And I've been reading that they're announcing that they'll come into the US market. So PSA Group says, we believe that innovation is the cornerstone of value creation. And for the PSA Group PSA, this means bringing original and indispensable vehicle features to the driver and passengers. Connected cars of the future will harness natural conversational language, understanding, and the ability to process natively. Ooh, let's get that in. Let's talk about, I said I'd talk about cloud and embedded, all right? So here's also where auto is leading. So what is, our little graphics will work on this. Guys in the back, can you click to see if the graphic will click on? Yeah, There you go. So an embedded is simply, we all know what, everyone in this room knows what embedded is, right? Boop, it's down, library compressed down into machine, so that when I'm in the tunnel, I can still speak. I can say, roll up the windows, turn on the air conditioning. That's a command and control native to that car experience. If I want to get the cloud, I can still have cloud. That's the hybrid. So since I've seen many of you, we were just at NVIDIA's major conference, GTC, showcasing our embedded solution on the NVIDIA AI drive box. So what we have here is, at the show, they've got their very souped up connected car in front of a simulation. Then we have one of our engineers sitting in there, that's Victor, and this is in the back, that's showing you the hardware goods. You're supposed to get excited about that. Some of them, like, I came away with one of their Raspberry Pi killers, and I felt like I had won a secret prize. Let's play this video with oops, sorry guys, that was native to the slideshow. You didn't have to pop out. Right, and it's just a quick little clip. And you kind of start seeing the simulation. The cool thing about this, if you took your hands off the wheel, the car snaps back at you. If you look down, sensors, like, get your eyes on the road. You definitely feel pulled up, which was excellent to see a concept car here where it's calling out, using all of its AI potential. I know that driver is not astute right now. They're not looking forward. And auditorially, they call back and let you know. Sorry, that didn't work. So why I'm bullish here that the auto industry itself has the traction that revolutionizes the end user's expectation for voice. So I've heard different theories today, but I'm going hard with once you're in a car having that experience, other situations are suddenly going to feel like, wait a second, I couldn't just ask, where's the nearest open library? And it didn't work, or the follow-on, how much does it cost in an Uber Black to get to the Golden Gate Bridge? That should just work, right? Let's do it, like something as simple as, we have a team in Tokyo, and if I need to set up a conference call, right? I think I kind of know what time, so if I just ask, what time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here?
It is 8 a.m. the next day in Tokyo and 1 a.m. the next day in Berlin when it is 4 p.m. here.
All right. Look at you're all like, yeah, exactly. You should be able to set up a conference call, gauging. I think it's around 4 o'clock that it's kind of going to work for both of those locations. But just to drill home that this stuff is difficult, and it might not be a matter of how much money you have as a company or the force of labor in terms of your engineering headcount. So if I go to this fantastic embedded assistant, what time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here? It says, in San Francisco, Tokyo, it's 7:30 a.m. It's hard technology. It's not. Remember, Siri has more languages. It was out first and has extraordinary ASR in languages. Let's go to the great company in Mountain View. Okay, Google, what time is it in Tokyo and Berlin when it's 4 p.m. here? I'm trying to get the audio.
9 a.m. Wednesday in Berlin, Germany.
Okay. One part of it, what do I still have to do? I have to look at a bunch of blue links. I have to find a time converter, and that's very frustrating. Like, you just use bandwidth of my time, right? So I'm just showing you little drizzles of this stuff is actually pretty hard. So when I expect to be able to do that in my car, and then I go back into these situational places, I'm not sure it's going to fly with end users not to start demanding and getting agitated and saying, hey, it's time for a better experience that's much more natural and conversational. Our company, SoundHound Inc., is the company. We have our music app, which we houndified, which means you can use it hands-free. So you can open up SoundHound and say, what song is this? Bloop, and it's as if you touch the button. It's joyful. It was the first music app where you can create your playlist. So we're connected to Apple Music or Spotify, and you can say, add Electric Love by Bjorn to my playlist, bloop, and it just happens. Show me videos by Katy Perry, bloop, it pops up. How old is Paul McCartney? He's 76 years old and 3 months old. How about Fetty Wap? Fetty Wap is 24 and blah, blah, blah. It's amazing, right? It's really great. And the best thing that our company learned from doing that, when we took it over to our music team, meaning the platform, hey guys, dog food this. And it was phenomenal because our PM, when Anshu took a look at it, she's like, well, guys, actually, the SoundHound Music app is an outlier. It already, as a key feature, uses the mic, right? Like there are 3 apps. There's Shazam, there's SoundHound, and there's Voice Memo that already takes over the listen. So you as a designer, we had a few designers in this room, right? That's actually a massive challenge. How do you turn user behavior from just pushing an orange button into actually going hands-free? But we actually also know that a lot of people SoundHound in car, and it's not from the passenger seat. So it behooved us to say, take our voice-first technology, that's the core of our company, and we enabled our own app to do it. A couple lessons there is like, oh my gosh, it's hard to train an old dog new tricks. Of course, people keep, they just hit the orange button, and that's just fine. They're using it to capture music in Starbucks or wherever they are. But for the percentage that has learned that you can speak to it, there's a great joy factor. And the TTS, that's like, hello, that song is Hello by Adele, and there's something great about it. So houndifying your product is something that almost every brand should already be thinking about. And figuring out how to do it is what we've made easy by the Houndify platform, whole vision of that. So again, the biggest premise here is that it's your product, it's your users, it's your brand. So Houndify is agnostic in all of this. Once you develop once, you can plug it in many places. And everything we're doing also sends you back text. So you can put it back in a text-based mode if you're multimodal and you've got to figure out, how do I just return a result, text-based as well. And I can even, inside of Hound, there's a quiet mode, and I can pull up and say, what's my flight status? Well, what flight are you on? Oh, I'm on Southwest. Well, what's the number? I don't know. Okay, well, where are you going? Going from SFO to LAX, bloop, and it tells me everything right then and there. That's a joyful back and forth. So conversational state, we got it, it's implemented. In Hound, you can also ask like a mortgage calculation question. What's the monthly mortgage on a $700,000 house? Well, we need more information. What's the down payment? What's the rate? And then I could change those variables that are still stuck, and it comes back really quick. It's mind-blowing stuff, right? So Houndify doesn't compete with its customers. I don't think we're ever going to be a car company. I don't think we'll ever be a travel agency or OTA. Those companies know how hard it is to deliver on your own premise as a product. And I think that's really been the massive joy factor of watching a platform that's really a B2B play, engage with partners, bring them on board, go through blood, sweat, and tears on both sides through any little bumps, but ship a product that is light years ahead. There's something incredible about that. Houndify lets the customers keep users, maintain the brand, learn from the data, customize, and innovate, right? Many industries are going to change. So today we focused on auto, but I'm sure many of you previously come from other industries or have touch points in industries, and you're thinking very widely about this, right? We've announced some other partners, one in the robotics, right? So Houndify powers I've got a question on Vector. Hey, Vector, I've got a question. How old is Obama? Bloop, and you get the answer. Pandora has voice enabled. They're out in beta, right? From tip to tail. Hey, Pandora, branded wake word. Play some new hip hop. Okay, play new hip hop. They have their own branded TTS, which is another part of the tool set that we do on our platform. So it's a branded experience. And Stuart, you talked about the importance of that. And absolutely, every brand is going to need really to own your own wake word, just as if it was a domain. You'd think about owning. Maybe you don't even know where to plug it in yet, but to be out ahead and say, let me own a wake word, and let me start thinking, do I need auditorial sonic cues as well? Right? We've grown. We're actually a very big late-stage company and doing great things. So our market reach with our strategic partners is over 2 billion endpoints of customers. That's massive. Right? Components that help you innovate, getting a little more detailed. We have even more detailed stuff on our website that we can reflect on. But I just want to do a couple slides on the thoughts, right? We're going to wrap up here. But was this? Yeah, okay. Weekend reading, did anyone sit back with a cup of coffee on this weekend? Come on, don't go, like nobody's old school. I love old paper. It's still important to fly and not be connected and read stuff like this. The Battle for the Fourth Screen. So, this was interesting, right? And the pull quote right there, that 51 minutes spent, right? On average, right here, So this article really focused in on the giants of tech and then the autos. But really what it was coming away, I realized like the fight for the fourth screen is about your attention, your data, and ultimately monetization of that, okay? Something to think about though, because when we just talk about those words, Amazon, Apple, Google, and then Ford, BMW, Toyota, if you take an assistant route as it stands today in many ways, that's a bolting in an assistant experience. If you're taking voice as a core to your experience, right? Like MBUX, it's core, it's ground up. I'm going to initiate a user interface experience, and the designer's thought from the ground up that way. Let's just be very, very clear. I just want us to, this crowd, you're too astute not to mess up at this stage. 2 years ago, it's all voice stuff, like voice assistant meant the same thing. No, there's a voice assistant modality, and then there's a voice interface realm here. And this is just telling you, right? You could go, hey, my brand, hey, Pandora, your branded experience. You pop up, you can get your specific account stuff, you can leverage what's at scale, pull it back. Or you can go, okay, assistant, and leverage an assistant bolted on. Very different ways of thinking about it. Then, you've spent a long day churning a lot of knowledge. A couple weeks ago in our executive team meeting, we had this moment, and we have a colleague, Kamyar, and he likes to say, I love to bring it back to the question, the why. Right? And I just ask each one of you, in your own head, in your own inner voice, like, why are you in this? Why did your company send you? Or why did you go to your company and say you should send me? Why are you the company? Why are you spending time at this at all? Why? And probably 4 cheeky little responses ran through your head, but maybe in your gut there's one that you're wrestling with, right? And it's funny because I went back and I read, and Bradley, I don't know if you wrote this, it felt like some good Brian Romelli vibe was coming out on this. And when I first read, if you really read the first line here, I think, especially some of us who are in hardcore engineering mode sometimes, I say that vicariously through so many people in my company, when we're born, we all have our mother's voice, and then we develop our inner voice. So it stands to reason, as computing evolves, it will evolve to become voice first. And I thought, Jeannie Mac, oh my God, that's so poetry inside of a tech conference. Like, what's going on? But it was deeply meaningful, right? Deeply meaningful. And I come back, I want to close with this in many ways, because voice is the essence of who we are, right? It's deep, it's emotional. It's how we connect. It's so important for us to get this right. You're a pioneer. There are multimodalities. The here and now inside of this year, you can start jamming on an expectation to say what you want, say it naturally, context aware. And then here, I think you've all seen, there were 11 million hits on the little guy with the Alexa moment, which is so precious. And then this precious one wanting Baby Shark. Remember, she kept saying, Baby Shark, Baby Shark, Baby Shark. And then mom had to step in and say, play Baby Shark. And then she's delighted. This is the voice first generation voice, right? I personally don't want my little ones spending their neurological synapse development time figuring out the interplay of how to make that thing, and I don't even call it a gender. I've changed my echo to computer to model, because I love the pull quotes, like, people get pissed at this stuff. I bet if we had 20% of Siri logs, it would be really mean words. And we've all been there. You get frustrated, right? And when you're morphosizing this as a female or some gender, that's not cool. And I'm not letting my 2 little boys jam with irritation to the thing, right? But it behooves us to get quicker in putting out the user experience where it all falls in the background and it feels very, very natural. So in the why of all this, think about how you're designing, think about the tools. Humans are makers of meaning, and we're tool creators. And if the guys just play this one bit, it'll jazz us up, and then Peggy's going to tell us where to go. Let's go, let's go. Mercedes, your commercials are amazing. They're really, really, really good. Thank you, everybody, for going late today and staying in for this talk. You guys put on a condensed show of great value. Turn it up.